They called her the Demon Duchess once again, this time for something as simple as holding a microphone.
I'm so glad you guys get to meet Courtney as well. Yeah. We've been friends since college, just so you know.
Yeah, it's really an honor to be here and to be chatting about our book. Oh, sorry. This makes me nervous.
I can hold it for you also.
What should have been a quiet celebration for a friend turned into another public relations disaster for Meghan Markle. The cameras were rolling, the audience was watching, and in that one moment, Meghan's instincts took over. With a confident smile and a controlling gesture, she reached across her visibly nervous friend and said, "I can hold it for you." A small act, but one that spoke volumes. The crowd saw it. The internet replayed it. Commentators dissected it, frame by frame. What was meant to be a friendly chat promoting her longtime friend Courtney Adamo's book suddenly became a study in power dynamics, body language, and ego.
All of these people that are around her, and not one person is acknowledging her, talking with her, looking in her direction. She is just standing there alone, drinking wine.
The event wasn't about literature or sisterhood anymore. It became another chapter in the ever-growing story of Meghan Markle's public image. For those who know the Duchess's history, the moment felt familiar. It was that same subtle dominance she's displayed time and again. The need to control, to lead the conversation, to be the center of the frame even when she's supposed to be the supporting act. The fact that Courtney, her supposed best friend from college, looked visibly uneasy only added to the tension. And when Meghan smiled and adjusted herself as though to reclaim the rhythm of the conversation, it was clear who was really in charge on that stage. The irony, of course, is that this was meant to be about someone else's achievement. Meghan had been invited simply to support her friend, yet she couldn't resist weaving herself into the center of the story.
You guys get to meet Courtney as well.
Yeah.
We've been friends since college, just so you know.
Yeah, it's really an honor to be here and to be chatting about our book. Oh, sorry. This makes me nervous.
I can hold it for you also.
And this was meant to be an event to promote Meghan Markle's BFF's book. But of course, Meghan Markle made it all about her, revealing intimate details of life at home with her children.
She began talking about her mornings at home, about the music that fills her house at dawn, the candles she lights to set the mood, and even her so-called healing blanket ritual. She described how she and Prince Harry use it whenever someone in the family isn't feeling well, turning even a casual conversation about parenting into an opportunity for self-reflection and display.
I remember seeing it on Instagram and going, is that Courtney? And they're in a minivan somewhere in South America.
Yeah.
But it's amazing when you can find what you're able to create in a small space, when a lot of us, especially here, have a lot of, I grew up in a small duplex. We all have a lot more opportunity, space, privilege, or you have a lot of open space as you did growing up on this farm. But when you have a limited amount of space, what are the practical tools that she's been able to implement for her family and for her kids to feel connected? When I think so much of what we're really speaking to ultimately is, how do we open our doors, our hearts, and our homes, both for our own families and when we have guests, especially as the holiday season is approaching? What are those tips and those elements that you can translate from a small apartment as a single woman to a couple that's dating?
The audience listened politely, but online viewers were less forgiving. Critics called the moment painfully awkward, branding it another example of Meghan's performative empathy.
Look at this brand new Instagram story promising some type of big new as ever announcement, even though we know that this business is completely failing.
To them, this wasn't a caring gesture toward a nervous friend. It was a carefully disguised power move. She'd done it before, they said, stepping into moments that weren't hers, redirecting attention toward herself with a practiced warmth that's both captivating and calculated. Even royal commentators couldn't resist. Tash, a well-known critic of Meghan's behavior, described it as a classic act of control. She just can't let anyone else shine, she said.
It's just It's with her, it's control. It's a way to make herself the center of attention. She always has to do something. If that person's having their photograph taken, Meghan will kiss them on the cheek. It's deemed as people that are looking at it thinking, oh, she's being sweet and affectionate. No, she's not. She's making the camera then focus on her. And even her friend said, oh, it's making me nervous. And Meghan's like, I can hold the microphone for you. Oh, I'll bet you just can. She completely overtook her friend.
If someone's having their picture taken, Meghan will make sure to lean in, kiss them on the cheek, anything to make the camera turn back toward her. The book event, which should have been about friendship and authenticity, ended up reinforcing the image of Meghan as a woman obsessed with presentation.
Artificial. Lots of my friends have children. My family members have children. I've never heard the stories like she comes out with. It makes everything just so contrived. But to overtake your friends, big deal for her, I'd imagine, having this launch at Godmother's, which is now a bit of a celebrity hangout. It's Meghan showing her true nature. She cannot uplift other women.
But it wasn't just that one gaffe. Behind the scenes, things were unraveling in her professional world, too. News broke that Meghan had lost yet another PR chief, her 10th in 5 years. A Netflix staffer, whom she had proudly announced as part of her new communications team, had resigned after only 3 months.
By Alison Boshoff, who reveals the Duchess of Sussex has parted company with her 10th publicist in just 5 years after a big name she poached from Netflix quit after just 3 months. Emily Robinson joined Harry and Meghan's team as Director of Communications in June, but she has already jumped ship. Ms. Robinson was always a controversial hire as she had worked on The Crown for years, a show which aired a number of damaging narratives about the royal family.
The official statement painted the exit as mutual, praising her excellent work and project-based success. But industry insiders weren't buying it. She's not a quitter, one source said. For her to leave that fast, things must have been pretty horrible.
The final series included scenes in which the ghost of Princess Diana appeared to speak to the Queen, Prince Charles, which many found sensitive. One friend of LA-based Robinson, who built up a reputation as a tough cookie at Netflix, said it was her decision. She left a few weeks ago. She's not a quitter, so things must have been pretty horrible for her to go. Ms. Robinson's LinkedIn profile does not currently include any reference to having worked with the couple, but other roles which she has held are listed. She's at least the 10th publicist to leave the employ of Meghan and Harry since they left the UK for California 5 years ago, although 2 former publicists, James Holt and Miranda Barbo, have been promoted into non-PR roles. Remaining on their team are Liam Maguire, Director of Communications in Europe, and Meredith Maines, their Chief Communications Officer. Some sources say Ms. Maines is now enduring a difficult time. No sugar Sherlock as the couple's Chief Communications Officer. And then a spokesman for the couple, which is clearly Maines, right, has had to lie about this, saying Ms. Robinson oversaw project-based work for a very successful season of With Love Meghan and additional support for the production company. She did an excellent job and completed these projects with great success. Stop lying. Stop lying. Seriously, that's not how this works. You do not hire a director of communications. I know this.
It was another embarrassing blow for the Duchess. Publicists typically stay with high-profile clients for years, sometimes decades, building trust and consistency. But Meghan's revolving door of staff tells a different story, one of chaos, control, and quiet discontent.
Apparently, it was a voluntary exit and things must have been pretty horrible. Yeah, I can imagine trying to work with Meghan and turn her mediocrity into success publicly would be a challenge. So, Tash, what do you make of this?
Former employees reportedly refused to even list their time working for her on their resumes. Some say they left traumatized, exhausted, and determined to erase that chapter from their careers.
Well, I think the demon duchess in high heels strikes again. It's pretty obvious that she can't retain staff because she doesn't treat them very well. This is a common thing that we have seen over her time inside the royal family. Since she left the royal family, her Archewell staff, even, other companies that she's worked with. Let's not forget that it was Spotify and Gimlet staff that tried to help her with her Archetypes podcast.
The pattern has become impossible to ignore. Whether inside the royal family, at Archewell, or in her various media ventures, people come and go, fast. And no matter how often her team insists that everything is fine, each departure chips away at the carefully curated image Meghan tries to maintain. The Duchess who preaches compassion and empowerment often leaves behind a trail of disillusioned colleagues and fractured partnerships. Still, Meghan continues to project serenity. At events, she speaks of mindfulness, healing, and love. She shares stories about her children, especially Lilibet, with the kind of glowing reverence reserved for fairy tales. Yet even these intimate details have become points of criticism. To some, it feels like oversharing for sympathy. To others, another way to keep the public gaze fixed squarely on her family. And when video surfaced of Meghan standing alone at a separate event, surrounded by guests who seemed to ignore her completely, the internet once again took notice. She sipped her wine quietly, eyes darting, body language stiff. No one approached her. No one seemed interested. It was a jarring contrast to the Hollywood confidence she usually exudes. Critics called it karma. Supporters called it selective editing. But either way, it added another layer to the mystery of Meghan Markle. The woman who can command a room, yet somehow still end up standing alone in it. Through it all, one truth has become clear. Wherever Meghan goes, attention follows. But so does controversy. Whether she's speaking at a charity event, launching a podcast, or promoting a friend's book, the question remains the same. Does Meghan Markle simply attract drama, or does she create it herself? Behind the glossy filters and carefully framed Instagram posts, there's a storm brewing in Meghan Markle's professional world. The Duchess once dreamed of building a media empire that could rival the best in Hollywood, a global brand that combines celebrity influence with royal prestige. But lately, that dream seems to be slipping away. With every resignation, every awkward public appearance, and every viral clip that paints her as self-absorbed or controlling, Meghan's brand feels increasingly fragile. Insiders describe working with her as exhausting. One former colleague called it walking on glass, a constant balancing act between Meghan's demands and her relentless need for perfection. She is said to be involved in every detail, from the tone of a press release to the lighting of a photo. Those who can't keep up don't last long, and judging by her history, almost no one does. The latest exit, Netflix communications director Emily Robinson, marks her 10th PR loss in just 5 years. 10. That number alone speaks volumes. Robinson's sudden resignation after only 3 months left even industry veterans stunned. And what makes it worse is how quickly the narrative collapsed. Meghan's team issued a polished statement claiming that Robinson had completed project-based work with great success. But PR professionals immediately called that out as spin. You don't hire a communications director for short-term projects, one insider explained. That's not how this business works. Robinson's LinkedIn page, curiously, doesn't even mention her time with the Sussexes, a silent confirmation that the experience wasn't one she wanted to advertise. And she's not alone. Former staff members from Archewell, Spotify, and other ventures have done the same, leaving gaping holes in their employment timelines. The reason? As one source bluntly put it, it's better to pretend it never happened. This pattern has earned Meghan an unflattering reputation, the boss from hell who can't keep a team together. Her former staff in the UK once described similar experiences: long hours, impossible expectations, and a culture of emotional strain. Some even sought therapy after leaving. It's a devastating record for someone who publicly champions mental health and compassion. Royal watchers like Tash have called it the ultimate irony. She talks about kindness, yet people walk away from her broken, she said. She claims to uplift women, but somehow they all end up overshadowed. The book event with Courtney Adamo became symbolic of that very contradiction. A moment meant to celebrate female friendship and creativity, but one that instead spotlighted Meghan's inability to share the stage. And yet, even as these cracks show, Meghan seems determined to keep her empire afloat. Her new With Love, Meghan lifestyle project was meant to be a triumphant return to form, an elegant blend of wellness, mindfulness, and California chic. But behind the soft pink branding and calming aesthetic, the numbers reportedly tell a different story. The launch was met with indifference. Critics mocked its predictability, and viewers called it an empty rebrand, designed to distract from her failing ventures. So what does Meghan do when criticism mounts? She floods the feed with positivity. New photos, new quotes, new big announcements. Yet the pattern feels familiar, and perhaps even desperate. Each time a scandal erupts, another smiling image appears online. It's crisis management by distraction, and audiences are starting to see through it. And while Meghan tries to push forward, her social circle seems to be shrinking. Gone are the days of joint appearances with Oprah or glossy interviews with Hollywood insiders. Even the media power players who once welcomed her with open arms now keep their distance. At the recent LA dinner party that was supposed to cement her return to elite circles, Meghan was caught in a candid clip looking isolated, surrounded by people who weren't talking to her, ignored in her own environment. One observer noted she looked lost, like she didn't know what to do when she wasn't the center of attention. Those few seconds of footage spoke louder than any speech. The woman who built a global identity around being seen now stood invisible in a crowded room. And perhaps that's the truest reflection of Meghan's paradox, forever in pursuit of connection, yet somehow pushing people away. Still, she's not retreating. Meghan is too savvy, too image conscious to fade quietly. Instead, she leans into reinvention. Each setback becomes a new chapter, each resignation a strategic pivot. But with so many burned bridges and failed partnerships, even her most loyal fans are beginning to wonder how many more resets she can afford. Because behind the glamour, behind the curated image of candles, music, and rose rituals, there's a story that refuses to go away. A story of power, control, and a duchess who can't seem to stop getting in her own way. The woman who once captivated the world with her charm and modernity now finds herself under a very different kind of spotlight. And every time she reaches for the microphone, the world leans in, not to hear her words, but to see what she'll do next.